Charanam Sharanam Ramambike, Charanam Sharanam Trayambake. Humble salutations at the lotus feet of Divine Mother. I find myself a tiny ant gnawing at the huge sugar mountain. That is to say, the glories of Mother are innumerable and inexhaustible, and let us try our best to explore same. I consider myself very lucky to have been born at a time when Divine Mother made her advent on this earth and to have been blessed by her ever since I was in my mother's womb. Her life, her teachings, her compassion and kindness is firmly etched in my mind, and wherever I may be today, I am always tuned to her. In the highs and lows of life, I have always clung onto her lotus feet. She has always been my savior. With the awareness of Mother's presiding presence and the devout practice of her principles, we must convert home into a paradise of peace. Shraddha, whether it is in the sphere of duty or in the sphere of spiritual sadhana, is the foundation of a higher life. The devout faith in the Guru Vakya leads eventually to God vision. Moral purity is essential for spiritual experience. A radiant character distinguished by a host of sattvic virtues should be our ornament. To become recipient of Guru's grace, our life must be governed by precepts of Dharma. Our aim should be to uplift all members of the family. Divine Mother has showed us by her exemplary life that the life of an ideal grahastha should be marked by sacrifice, self-abnegation and steadfast devotion to moral virtues. The responsibility for the integrity of the home rests mostly with the woman. As the queen of the house, a mother should shine with inspiring noble qualities. By giving birth to children, one does not become a mother. She must be a paragon of virtues. It is such mothers endowed with Adhyatmic force who shape the future destiny of the nation. We should bring up our children along with higher principles of Dharma and faith in God. Transcending selfish interests and attachments, we should consider our children as belonging to God and present them to humanity as beacon lights to society. We should inculcate in our children abiding faith in God and a burning devotion to Dharma. This is our sacred duty as parents. Dharma is the ornament of beauty. Let chastity and purity be our watchwords. Whether we are at home, office, college, traveling, or anywhere, we have to abide in moral purity. In ability, in efficiency, in sattvic serenity, in modesty, in conduct, we should be majestic like the lions. Mother says, let our devotion increase from movement to movement. Our faith must become as firm as Mount Meru. Trials of prarabdha do come in life. The ignorant succumb to them. But you, the heroic children of Supreme Shakti, must face them with courage and remain unshaken like a giant rock in the turbulent sea. With this passion and persistent practice, you should rise above the plane of sense attraction. You should become masters of your own minds and servants of the Supreme Shakti. When one leaves the body, none accompanies him except his own karma. God is the ocean of mercy. Call him with your heart's devotion. Heartfelt prayers are always answered. Pray for guidance, for discrimination, for ability to stick to Dharma, for bhakti, and for capacity to love all without attachment. The force of Divine Mother's tapas, dharma, jnana, and illimitable divine love is with you to purify, to elevate you, to redeem you. Surrender completely. Link yourselves to Mother. Mother continues, the pearl lies at the bottom of the sea. Take a daring plunge and dive deep into the ocean of your own self. Then you will get the priceless pearl of jnana. This diving deep into oneself This daring plunge into the limitless ocean of consciousness, leaving behind the world of ego and illusion, is the characteristic of superb courage, Mahadairyam. You, my children, should be such heroes and heroines. Let your dharmic lives reveal the marvel of Mother's grace and the wonders of her teachings. All the divine emotion, love, compassion, courage, self sacrifice, humility would be meaningless without joy. Joy means exhilaration and expression of ultimate bliss. The greatest love we can experience is a communion with God in meditation. The love between the soul and the spirit is the perfect love, the love we are all seeking. Divine love is the only perfect love. Love God not for His gifts, but because He is your own, because He made you in this image, and you will find Him in this image. If you meditate deeply, a love will engulf you, such as no human being can describe it. You will know that this is divine love, and you will be able to give the pure love to others. In the consciousness of one who is immersed in the divine love of God, there is no deception, no narrowness of caste and creed, no boundaries of any kind. The relationship between a guru and the disciple is the greatest expression of love. It is unconditional divine friendship based on a shared singular goal, the desire to love God above all else. The disciple bears his heart to the Guru, and the Guru bears his heart to the disciple. There is nothing hidden between them, but only pure, undiluted love, which is multi-million greater than human love. You and I have been extremely lucky to have had a Guru like Divine Mother, who was so full of love, compassion, and kindness. In her immediate presence, we have sat and experienced the magnetism of her divine love and joy, which cannot be compared to anything else in the world. We have heard fascinating stories of Vrindavan and of Gopika Stris rushing to the sound of Sri Krishna's flute and spending time in Ras Leelas and their love overflowing for their beloved Krishna. The gopis were actually sages of Dandaka forest in their previous birth. The love that the gopis had for Sri Krishna was a divine love, and it was the union of souls. It is the aspiration of the Jivatma to merge in Paramatma. It is the blending of the individual soul with the Supreme Soul. For them, Krishna was the living God, the epitome of truth, consciousness, and bliss. When they were with Krishna, they forgot the worldly activities. They were merged in the love of Krishna. In the same way, we have spent countless hours basking in the divine love and compassion of our beloved Divine Mother, singing melodious bhajans, listening to her gripping discourses, and witnessing her myriad mystical bhava samadhis. We have been lucky to have watched Divine Mother as Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, Sri Hanuman, Sri Panduranga Vittala, Sri Vishnu, Rajarajeshwari Devi, Sri Chandika, Sri Lalitambika, Sri Kali, the list goes on. We would be totally absorbed and oblivious to the world outside. I remember most of the elderly lady devotees, including my dear mother Ramanyaka, would get up early in the morning, finish off their innumerable household duties quickly, and come rushing to Shaktinagar to have Divine Mother's darshan and to take part in all the programs there, and then rush back home in the evening. For many years, we have all come walking to Shaktinagar through the paddy fields, rough stony pathways, and climbing the steep hill. Whether rain or sunshine, we did not miss coming to Shaktinagar. Was it not the divine love that gave us the strength and the willpower to do all that? My mother was a heart patient, and now, looking back, we cannot imagine how she has managed to do all that, especially climbing such a steep hill. One evening, after the program in the temple hall, as usual, my mother was rushing to get back home before dark, since my father also was a very strict gentleman. Suddenly, from Matralayam, Taraka, as we used to call her then, called her and said, Ramanyaka, Solpa Nilli, Hogabedi. Ramanyaka, wait for a while, don't go. Hearing this, my mother was surprised, but nevertheless, she went and waited near Matralayam. Then, all of a sudden, Divine Mother, in all her splendid glory, appeared before my mother, and immediately my mother offered her pranams, after which Divine Mother said, Ramani, ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಿಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಆಚೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ, ಬನ್ನಿ. We will drop you home. We are going that way. Come along with us. And she pointed towards the car. My mother was dumbfounded. She just managed to whisper, Aitudeva. So, Dr. Pai was driving the car and Taraka was sitting with him in the front. And Divine Mother was on the back seat. And she invited my mother to sit beside her. My mother, with folded palms, very humbly squeezed herself inside, and as much as she could, she sat towards the door of the car, not even leaning back. Divine Mother looked at her discomfort and kindly said, Sariyagi, aramavagi kutkolli. Sit comfortably, relax. And then she started talking to her and explaining to her about various things, including health, family, household duties, etc. She said, meditation is not just closing your eyes and concentrating. When you look around you and you observe the nature, the various lovely creations like the trees, mountains, flowers, the beautiful birds, etc. And then you must acknowledge and think of the Creator. That is also the form of meditation. You have a huge responsibility of household duties, but you must also look after your health. Do not overstrain yourself. Your children need you more than anyone else. Mother's blessings to you and your family. So, they continued to talk on many topics till they reached the house. Then my mother, after offering her pranams to Divine Mother, slowly got down from the car. She was dazed with an experience of her lifetime to be in such close proximity to divinity, to God. She thinks Divine Mother intervened that day and probably saved her life from some untoward incident that would have otherwise occurred if she were to walk back home. All glory to Divine Mother. Constant remembrance of God, irrespective of time and place, is real devotion. Constant waiting with intense longing for the Guru is the sign of a true devotee. A real devotee considers everything as the will of his Guru. His whole being is constantly in a prayerful mood. For him, every word and deed is a prayer, a worship of his beloved. Having surrendered everything to his beloved Guru, a true devotee is always optimistic and in a blissful mood. His foremost quality is acceptance. Whatever may happen in his life, he holds on to his Guru and considers everything as prasad. A true disciple will also have true humility. We know the beauty of spirituality lies in humility. Look at Prahlada. In all adversities, he was calm and unmoved like a mountain. He was fearless, courageous, and always content because he was a true devotee of God. His joy did not leave him even when he was thrown into the ocean or condemned to death by being trampled by a mad elephant or burned alive. Through all this, he remained calm and unperturbed. He was content with whatever happened, good or bad. Devotion grows through hearing of the recital or study of devotional scriptures, satsang, and practice of japa and kirtana of divine name. As soon as the sun rises, darkness no longer passes anywhere, and all the quarters of the earth grow automatically bright. In the same manner, the heart in which the sun of devotion rises will be automatically filled with its rays in the form of the divine qualities. God vision is not a child's play, it demands our all minded dedication. As in the wake of the blazing sun, the blocks of ice melt away and disappear, so also the subtle body must perish in the fire of jnana. Then alone one escapes from the wheel of births and deaths. When it rains, we should place the vessel in the proper way, then alone water gets collected into it. For a plant to grow, we must pour water at its roots, not elsewhere. So too, sadhana for God vision must be in accordance with Guru's guidance and with proper bhava. Then alone it bears fruit. God has given us a precious human body, the gem of discrimination, health, wealth, and prosperity. He protects us from calamities when we invoke His aid. He answers our prayers. He is our all eternal, all loving parent and Savior. We have to propitiate Him through our devotion and dharma nishta. Everywhere, at all times, even in the midst of duties, we have to contemplate on God. We should not get entangled in anything. We should not get caught up in our own mental modes. We have to be in contact with the divine through meditation. From incessant God thought, from regular practice of meditation will come the power to abide in dharma and the courage to face the trials of prarabdha. God never tests us and never puts us into hardships. Experiences of life are a reward of our own past karmas. We have to bear them in patience and real understanding. We have to remember that our real nature is bliss itself. We have to approach our own divine state of sticking to truth and righteousness. Truth knows no defeat at all. It is ever triumphant, ever glorious. Raja Harishchandra sacrificed everything for the sake of truth, and ultimately truth won over. What a path Divine Mother has traversed to remain in Grihastha, to function in the sphere of manifold duties, and yet to ascend the peak of yoga, namely Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Is this not unique? Is this not a thing of wonder? Mother's years of rigorous tapasya and sacrifice are for the entire humanity, but we disciples should rise up to Mother's expectations and reflect the glory of Mother's grace on us. We have to attain the highest, we have to strive for it. The Father writes the will and the Son inherits the property. Here, the Guru is the spiritual father. The wealth he gives is the priceless Brahmajnana. By purity of thought and conduct, by practice of prayer and namasparana, we have to awaken our spiritual ardor. We have to develop bhakti, strengthen our faith, learn the skill of yogic detachment, achieve concentration, and finally go deep into ourselves to meet and merge in the eternal beloved. During the advent of God, a great tidal wave of spirituality is manifested on earth. God is the ocean of compassion. Those who recognize Him in His avatar, those who take refuge at His feet, leave the body with remembrance of God and attain emancipation. Let our mind and heart be with the divine only. No jiva can save another. God alone is the Savior. A water to a fish, as staff to the blind, so is faith in God, the only support for the jiva. Verily, faith is the sheet anchor in life. Mother is the ultimate reality. Though she has assumed a form for our sake, our faith must be in her words. Faith inspires obedience, and obedience is dharma. My mother Ramanyaka had her first darshan of Divine Mother at Sadhana Mandir, Mangalore on 5th November 1943, when Divine Mother was very young. She was just 32 years of age. She told us that Divine Mother looked so very beautiful, so majestic and radiant, and her twin eyes were oozing with loads of love and compassion. When she was taken near Divine Mother, she looked at her very lovingly and gave her such a dazzling smile, and my mother was instantly drawn to her like a bee to honey. Since that day, there was no looking back for my mother, and she remained as an ardent devotee of Divine Mother and very firm in her faith to Divine Mother till her death in 2009. Divine Mother took pride in acknowledging her as the only woman convent educated graduate of Mangalore Mandali those days. She was highly disciplined and has followed every word of Mother's teachings very meticulously. She was regular in her meditation and namasmarana and always had a japa mala in her hands. In her old age, when she was not too well, and well-wishers would visit her and say, "Auntie, your face is glowing in spite of your sickness," she would promptly show the Japamala and tell them, "That is the power of Namasmarana and the greatness of my compassionate Guru and her divine love." In the last days, she could not chant Charanam Sharanam Ramambike, Charanam Charanam Trayambake, but if we were to go close to her, we could hear her whispering, "Rama Devi, Rama Devi, Rama Devi." Such was the magnetic connection between the Guru and Shishya, and Divine Mother also granted her a very peaceful end. Guru Vakya is the essence of the Vedas, the Upanishads and the Puranas. It is the nectar squeezed from all the Shastras. Just as by churning the milk, the ocean nectar was extracted, so too by churning the chitta with the rod of meditation of the Guru Vakya, we can secure the jug of nectar, the Amrita Kumbha. Brothers and sisters, realization of God becomes easy through ceaseless remembrance of God. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, "O Arjun, he who constantly thinks of me without any other thought, I am easily reached by that yogi who is thus ceaselessly attached to me." Therefore, all activities of the body, eating, walking, and performance of other daily activities should be carried out simultaneously with unbroken remembrance of God. Because of the background of divine remembrance of God, all these activities will be transformed into an act of worship. The hearing and kirtana of the divine name passes the greatest of virtue. The space through which the sound of the name reverberates gets purified. He who can utter the name with his last breath is bound to reach the supreme state irrespective of the sentiment through which it is uttered. The glory of the divine name has been sung by all scriptures and saints. Tulasidas says, "God's name, when uttered even mechanically, burns up the accumulated sins of many births. The devotee who chants the name of the Lord with reverence crosses the ocean of metempsychosis as easily as one steps over the water held in the hoof mark of a cow." Brothers and sisters, we have been blessed with both divine love and the divine name. Let us continue to chant the Nama Smarana in utmost faith and devotion and follow every bit of Divine Mother's teachings in this challenging world and lead an exemplary life of a befitting devotee of a great Guru. Jai Mata.